Hey, what's good, Pulse team? Hopefully your day's going well. In spite of it being humid and muggy outside, we're still blessed. We woke up breathing. We woke up knowing that we have a God who loves us, that is there for us, that will never leave us or forsake us, a God that never changes, a God that forgives us. So no matter how hot it is, no matter how things are difficult, because I know some of you probably already started school, it's a great day. This is the day the Lord has made, man. And it's so important that we rejoice in that no matter what we're going through. The last few devotions we've been talking about your parents, having a relationship with parents, how to communicate with parents, how to be honest with your parents, how to build that trust. Today we're going to be talking about questions to ask your parents. Questions that are very important, questions where you can get insight and wisdom from your mom and dad. Questions that are going to help build that build of trust, that build of wisdom, both them trusting you and you trusting them. So this is very important. Now the book of Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6 tells us this: train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. So as parents, if we train our children and raise them, and we ourselves are that example of who God wants us to be. We live a life that reveals that we love God. We live a life that reveals His Word. We reveal a life that reveals that we as parents are doing our best to be Christ-like, and we pass it on to our kids. We leave that legacy, and we condition them, and get them. As parents, we can't force you to serve the same God we're serving, Christ. I know with my daughter, I didn't force her. I taught her as much as I could. She traveled with me a lot. And from there, it was her decision, okay? And thankfully, she's following the Lord. So that's so important that when we have parents who train us in the ways of God, if we continue in that, we're not going to depart from it. So that's what that verse means right there. So in other words, where there's healthy education, when we have parents who are mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, emotionally healthy, and they're educating us on how to grow up and how to become young adults, okay, or even adults, that impact of our parents, that influence that they leave in our lives, it's going to be hard to wear off. It's something that's going to be implanted in our minds and our hearts, okay? It's going to help develop part of our foundation and growing up as adults. Now, also, when we have parents like that who influence us in a great way and they teach us so many things, when we have that, it's hard to forsake the way they brought us up. It's hard to forsake it and forget it and walk away from how they raised us, especially if it was in an awesome, healthy way, okay? Now, in these kind of individuals, which are hopefully is you, also your hearts will be seasoned and have been seasoned with understanding, knowledge of God. You've been given a grace of God, which you're having that foundation built, the grace, the love, the wisdom, the respect of God, and this will enable you to practice what you were taught, so that's so important. That's pretty much what that scripture is telling us. Now, in Proverbs chapter 1 verses 8 through 9 tells us, listen, my son, to your father's instructions, and don't reject your mother's teaching, for they will be a garland of grace on your head and a gold chain around your neck. And that doesn't mean that if you do good, your parents are going to buy you all this bling around your neck or a crown. No, back during that time when someone was given a crown or a garland or a wreath and is placed on their head, it was a symbol of authority and honor. So back then, if you saw a student or someone your age walking around with that, it meant that they were honored by their parents. And there was just a great relationship there because they're following their instruction, they're obeying their parents, and they were just there. That trust was there, So it was a symbol of that, a symbol of honor. Now, asking questions again is a great way to learn and grow, not just with your parents, but in any area of your life. Questions are how we grow. This is how we learn. You go to school, you ask questions if you don't understand anything or a certain subject. Now, you gain perspective in all areas of your life when you ask questions. Now, parents also can and will give you wisdom. They will give you guidance. They will give you perspective, man. They will teach you and get you in the right path if you ask these questions. So right now, I'm going to share with you 7 questions to ask your parents, okay, in the next 7 days. Today's the first day. Here's the first one. How can I be a better son or daughter? I know that's pretty blunt and straight to the point, but that's a great question to ask your parents because you know what? They love you and they're going to be honest with you. When you love somebody, you're honest with them. When you love somebody and you care about them, you will address issues. So how can you be a better son or daughter? That is a great question to ask your parents. It's great to learn because it'll reveal, some areas that need to change and the areas that you're doing great in, okay? So that's a great question to ask your parents. Number two, the second question to ask your parents is, what do you see as my greatest strengths? That is so important because, again, our parents know us better than our friends do. For some of you, sad to say, maybe your friends know you better than your parents do. Okay, we'll get to that in a little bit later in this. The third question to ask your parents is, what do you think are my weaknesses that I need to work on? And I know that's probably something you feel uncomfortable about. You're like, I don't ask my parents that. But how else are we going to grow? How are we going to learn? Because our parents will be honest with us, because again, they love us, they care about us, they want the best for us. So if we ask them what are our weaknesses, they're going to tell us straightforward. And then, but what happens is, as teenagers or even people, we don't want that, because that ball is put in our court, which means we have to move and have action and momentum with that, you know? So hopefully, if you're going to ask these questions, and I pray that you do, it's because you really want to grow. You want to learn more from them. You want to build that trust with them, but you want to gain their wisdom so you can grow these areas that you know that need to be grown with, okay, that you need to grow in. Now, the fourth question to ask is, what friends do you see as the best influences in my life? That's something I'm sure you're like, dude, I'm not going to ask my parents that, because I got some really, you know, some of my friends are like out there, okay? But that's an honest question to ask your parents. Now, let me make it clear. If you have parents that are not emotionally healthy, that are not spiritually healthy, that their mind's not in the right place, that's probably a question you don't want to ask, or some of these questions. And sadly, this doesn't include all of you. But the reason I say that is because I couldn't ask my mom those questions, because my mom and dad didn't like anybody. They had their own agenda. They didn't want me to bring anyone into our home or into my life for their own reasons. Okay, that's a whole nother story. So that's a question I learned to not ask, because they didn't like nobody I brought in. Nobody. They had their way. They would just be my friends, and that would be it. Okay, so that's a whole nother story. So again, I'm talking about you who have parents that are wise, that are serving the Lord, that are academically, you know, smart, you know, spiritually smart, emotionally smart, not perfect, but parents that have wisdom and that will be honest with you and guide you in the right direction. Okay. And the question number 5 goes like this: what kind of career could you see me getting into after I graduate? Again, your parents know you better than your friends, you know, most of you, okay? And your parents have known you growing up. They know your attributes. They know your characteristics about who you are. They know your weaknesses and strengths. They've seen what you're good at and what you're probably not that good at. And you know, and they're going to invest in those strong attributes that you have. So don't be afraid to ask your parents that question. I'm pretty sure many of you already have, because many of you, I believe, have really good relationships with your parents. Now, question number 6. When do I make you most proud? And that could be a tough one, because again, your parents are gonna be honest. But honesty is what helps us grow. Honesty is what, you know, clarifies things. So if there's some things in your life that you shouldn't be doing, your parents are gonna tell you about that, you know? So you have to be ready to hear their answer. And again, it doesn't mean that you're a failure to them, but you want to know what they're most proud of, because you want to continue going with that. And that means that those things that you're doing to make them proud are the strengths that you have. You want to work with those versus, you know, the weak things that probably don't make them proud. It doesn't mean they don't love you, you know, but those weak things you want to work on, so those can become things that make your parents proud also. So I know it's a tough question to want to ask your parents, but it's so important, again, because you want to have that honest communication with your family, with your parents. You want that trust to be there. You want them to know that you trust in them, you confide in them, you look up to them, and you want to learn from them, because that's what parents are for. Now, finally, question number 7. What is the most important thing you've learned in life? That is a great question, because I'll tell you right now, your parents, some of you, your parents have overcome what you're going through. They've gone through what you've gone through. They've probably gone through worse than you've gone through. They have overcome things that you haven't even experienced yet, and as parents, they can, you know, get you in the right direction so you can avoid making those wrong decisions they made. So, you know, learn that from your parents, because parents, again, bring a lot to the table. They bring a lot of wisdom. They've made a lot of mistakes. They've had a lot of setbacks, you know, and that's how we grow. I know I'm a parent. I'm not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes, but we learn off those things. And we want to share those things with our kids so they avoid making those same mistakes, because we love our children. Now I'm going to end with this. Behind every young child who believes in himself is a parent who believed first. Oh, I love that statement. A good father is a source of inspiration and a source of self-restraint. A good mother is the root of kindness and humbleness. You bring those two attributes together in parents, man, and that's just going to help you out. That's just wisdom, man. So I really hope and pray that you look up to your parents in a way, and you're comfortable with your parents in a way where you can ask them these questions, because not only are you going to learn wisdom, not only are they going to guide you in life and protect you and help you learn and grow, but this is going to help build the bridges of trust, the bridges of communication and foundation that we desperately need with our families, with our parents, and our parents with their kids, right? Hopefully you learn a lot from this. Hopefully you take this challenge and ask these questions to your parents, and have a great day. Stay cool in the air conditioner or go swimming and do whatever you can to keep cool, man. And we'll see you all on Wednesday, all right? God bless. Bye.